All right. So that was 3 different styles of leadership. Now let's see what we have. Free reign sammako चाहिँ बुझ्यो हैन त. Okay. So now let's talk about the approaches to leadership. How what makes a person good leader and what makes people a bad leader. Let's see on what basis that on what basis that the leaders are good leaders and leaders are bad leaders. Okay, so one of the important there are 3 approaches to leadership. Let me share this with you, the slide. Okay, these are the 3 approaches to leadership. So these are actually the different approaches that leaders take to lead. So one of the very first approach is the trait approach. It is the characteristic based approach. So what characters actually make a person a good leader? What characteristics make a person a bad leader? So there are different traits which are personality oriented. There are certain personality based characteristics of a person, how a person is personally. Okay, then that also makes a person a good leader or a bad leader. For example, if a person is just going to a very basic thing, a person with a very good looking personality and a person who is not his presentation or her presentation is not very good. When you are standing in front of the people, for instance, that physical appearance itself can act as a good leadership quality. Okay, sometimes if you look at a person who is very, very good looking and physically very handsome or beautiful, also that is one of the characters of good leadership, right? So these are personality based characters. Personality bhandakiri the way, the attitude, usko behavior haru jasto huncha ni mancheko, that personality orientation also makes a person a good leader or a bad leader. Okay, so there are these different things, like it's whether it's physical or personality based or social or intellectual things. These are the things that actually make person a good leader or a bad leader. For example, there has to be certain drive coming in. म गर्छु, म lead गर्छु भन्ने एउटा भित्रदेखि आउने desire or drive हुन्छ भने he becomes a very good leader, right? So another characteristics of a good leader is like integrity. If a person has integrity, then that person becomes a better leader as opposed to a person who does not have integrity, right? A cognitive ability भनेको चाहिँ कस्तो भन्दाखेरि the ability to think, the ability to analyze, the analytical capacity of the people. They just have the ability to analyze the things and give decisions. त्यस्तो सोच्ने ability भएको मान्छे can also be a good leader. Charisma is a person that has got certain quality or quality in a person who just has a very influencing power. Yeah, उसले भनेको trust गरिहाल्ने, उसले भनेको चाहिँ नि just you get spellbound by the things that he shares, he talks. त्यस्तो भयो नि त्यो charisma भएको people-हरु हुन्छ, that influencing people. Then creativity. So these are all traits, characteristics based leadership quality. So creativity, one who is very creative, very innovative, can be a good leader. So if you are not autocratic, if you are not very bossy, and you also exhibit certain flexibility, then you are a good leader. A person who also has a flexibility in the dealings that he does with the followers or the people. You also have to be flexible. Another important quality or the trait is self-confidence. If you are a very confident person, if you are a very confident manager, then you will lead better. Another trait characteristics is the knowledge that you have. If you are a very knowledgeable person, you have got all the information or the current affairs, what is happening, even the technical knowledge, conceptual knowledge. The more knowledge that you have, then you are a better leader. So these are the characteristics or the trait-based leadership qualities. How you lead. So these are the things. If you have these things, then you lead better. So another approach to leadership is the behavioral approach. There are people or the leader who are task focused, and there are leaders who are people focused. So you in a organization have the subordinates or the employees working below you. Now there are, if you can be very some leaders are very task oriented. They just are concerned with whether the task is accomplished or not. They are not at all worried about the human aspects of the people. You have to get this done means done. The task gets done, then he is happy. Task doesn't get done and he's not happy. So he just coerce or force people to just accomplish the tasks. So that is the X theory and Y theory. Did we discuss that? You आएन जस्तो छ तिमीहरुको कोर्समा X theory and Y theory. Are you aware of X theory and Y theory?
No, sir.
No. X theory is like, it's the belief that people are unwilling to work. People are not willing to work unless they are forced to work. भन्ने concept चाहिँ it's X theory. Right? So unless and until you push the people to work, unless and until you actually force the people to work, they actually will not work. One concept. Okay, you have to push them, you have to beat them, you have to drive them. Then only they will work. Otherwise, they will not work. It's an X theory. Y theory is people will work if they are given incentives, if they are like motivated. People afai काम गर्छ. You have to create the environment, a favorable environment with incentives, with motivations, then people will work. You don't have to force them or beat them to make them work. Panne concept Y theory, eh? So task-oriented leader, they are actually X theory ma believe गर्ने type को हुन्छ के तिनीहरु. People will not work. Theyलाई भनिराख्नु पर्छ, यसलाई पछि लाग्नु पर्छ, यसलाई कुट्नु पर्छ अनि मात्रै काम गर्छ भन्ने type को चाहिँ नि हुन्छ. They just ignore the human aspects. But people-oriented leader, they are the Y theory managers. I know Y theory. If you have to take care of the people first. If you take care of the people first, if you motivate them, if you give the incentives to them, if you create favorable environment to them, they will automatically work. भन्ने चाहिँ नि people oriented leader हुन्छ. So you can take both approach हैन. कसैको चाहिँ नि approach के हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि task oriented leader हुन्छ. I have to get this job done. भयो हैन. That is the way of his leadership style हुन्छ भने अर्कोले चाहिँ नि you provide all the environments needed for the people and automatically the work gets done भन्ने चाहिँ नि it's people oriented leader. Now the third approach is the situational approach, which is like contingency theory jastai. It depends upon the situation. What kind of agi bhane ni it's a kaile democratic bhaidinu parcha, kaile autocratic huna parcha, kaile license fair या free reign पनि हुनुपर्ने हुन सक्छ भने it's all situational approach मा चाहिँ नि you lead हैन. It's just the demands of the situation, how the situation is, and on the basis of that you you lead. Your leadership style or your approach of leadership differs on the base in accordance with the situation that you are handling. So that is the situational approach. So these are the approaches to leadership. So before we go to group, I actually asked in the last class to prepare presentation about conflict. Oh, Pukar?
Yes, sir.
So let's see. There's what Pukar has to say about conflict in organization.
Sir, host ko permission.
Give me a second. Okay.
So screen share bhairachha?
Yes.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. So I have prepared a few slides on about conflict types and how it can be managed in an organization. So what is conflict? Conflict is any situation in which two or more parties feel themselves in an opposition. So it is a type of environment where there is two opponents and they have their different views, different thoughts, and conflict situation can arise. It is an interpersonal process that arises from disagreement over the goals or the methods to accomplish those goals. So it's कस्तो भन्दाखेरि एउटा अर्गनाइजेसन भित्र एउटा इन्टरपर्सनल प्रोसेस भइरहेको बेला अब सबैजनाको भिन्दै सोच, सबैजनाको भिन्दै गोल्सहरू हुँदाखेरि अब त्यहाँ अब त्यो गोल्स एकम्प्लिस गर्नको लागि अथवा त्यो गोलमा पुग्नको लागि अब सबैको छुट्टै थट भएको हुनाले अब त्यहाँ म्युचुअल कोअपरेसन र अन्डरस्ट्यान्डिङ हुँदैन. सो त्यो सिचुएसनमा चाहिँ नि कन्फ्लिक्ट एराइज हुन्छ एउटा अर्गनाइजेसनमा. एन्ड द कन्फ्लिक्ट क्यान आइदर बी विदिन वान पर्सन or they can involve several people or groups. So conflict can arise between person to person, or it can arise between multiple groups. So
conflicts can either be within one person. What is that?
Within one person,
we are already two persons if it is you and me.
So confused by the one. So it's to कस्तो भन्दाखेरि हैन अब विदिन 1% भनेको अब आफूमै कन्फ्लिक्ट एराइज भयो जस्तो
हुन्छ त्यस्तो
त्यस्तो त हुँदैन सर
हुन्छ नि किन हुँदैन
हुन्छ नि अब आफूलाई
you have
चित्त
two
बुझिरहेको
goals
हुँदैन
to
नि त
achieve and you are confused
यस सर
what to do
यस सर यस सर
then that is also the intrapersonal conflict
हजुर सर
all right continue
okay sir so in the next slide we have types of conflict so there are 4 types of conflict for an organizational conflict they are intra individual or intrapersonal conflict and interpersonal conflict and intra-group conflict and intergroup conflict so let's look them briefly so intrapersonal or intra-individual conflict is a type of a conflict that can be intrapersonal where an individual objective and vision differ from each other company's overall vision so यो चाहिँ कस्तो भन्दाखेरि जस्तै म एउटा इम्प्लोइ हो एउटा अर्गनाइजेसनको र मेरो एउटा अब्जेक्टिभ र भिजन छ र मैले काम गरिरहेको कम्पनीको चाहिँ छुट्टै अब्जेक्टिभ र भिजन छ भने चाहिँ यो केसमा चाहिँ इन्ट्रा इन्डिभिजुअल अर इन्ट्रापर्सनल कन्फ्लिक्ट एराइज हुन्छ सो दिस रिफर्स टु अ कन्फ्लिक्ट विदिन एन इन्डिभिजुअल सो म एउटा इम्प्लोइ एउटा काम गरिरहेको कम्पनीमा मैमै यो कन्फ्लिक्ट एराइज हुन्छ किनकि अब मेरो भिजन र अब्जेक्टिभसँग कम्पनीको गोल्सहरू एग्री भएर आउँदैन सो त्यही कारणले चाहिँ नि यो इन्ट्रा इन्डिभिजुअल भनेको होइन सो देयर आर 3 टाइप्स अफ इन्ट्रा इन्डिभिजुअल अर इन्ट्रापर्सनल कन्फ्लिक्ट दे आर गोल कन्फ्लिक्ट कन्फ्लिक्ट फ्रम फ्रस्ट्रेसन एन्ड गोल कन्फ्लिक्ट सो त्यही नै हो अब कम्पनीको भिजनसँग मेरो भिजन म्याच भएर आउँदैन सो त्यसमा गोल कन्फ्लिक्ट आउने भइ नै हाल्यो एन्ड देन कन्फ्लिक्ट फ्रम फ्रस्ट्रेसन फ्रस्ट्रेसन त अब हुने भइ नै हाल्यो किनकि अब आफूलाई अब चित्त बुझिरहेकै हुँदैन अब काम गर्न पनि अब जस जुन जुन इनर्जीका साथ गर्नुपर्ने हो त्यो आइरहेको हुँदैन सो फ्रस्ट्रेसन भइहाल्छ एन्ड देन रोल कन्फ्लिक्ट अब रोल कन्फ्लिक्ट चाहिँ कसरी हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि लाइक मलाई अब एउटा टास्क एसाइन भएको छ अरे टास्क आई मिन अब एउटा प्रोजेक्ट एसाइन भएको छ भने अब त्यो प्रोजेक्ट गर्नको लागि अब कम्पनीले मलाई अब चाहिने रिसोर्सेसहरू दिन नसक्ला सो त्यो कारणले चाहिँ अब जुन रोल एसाइन भएको हुन्छ त्यो रोलमै कन्फ्लिक्ट आउन सक्छ होइन एन्ड देन नेक्स्ट वी हेभ इन्टरपर्सनल कन्फ्लिक्ट so the most basic type of conflict is interpersonal and it is between two colleagues arising from a host of reasons ranging from differences in personality, work style and personal background. So यो चाहिँ कस्तो हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि इन्टरपर्सनल कन्फ्लिक्ट भन्ने बित्तिकै अब पर्सनलतिर जान्छ यो चाहिँ अब यो चाहिँ अब दुईटा कलिग्स बिच आउने कन्फ्लिक्टहरू हो मतलब जस अर्गनाइजेसनमै आउने कन्फ्लिक्टहरू हो तर अब इम्प्लोइ बिच अब त्यही पर्सनल कुराहरू लिएर अब लाइक इफ यु टेक एन एक्जाम्पल सपोज देयर आर 2 इम्प्लोइज वर्किङ इन एन अर्गनाइजेसन एन्ड एउटाले चाहिँ अब अर्कोलाई अब उसले काम गरिरहेको आधारमा अब जज गर्ने एन्ड देन अब उसको अब पर्सनल ब्याकग्राउन्डतिर जाने एन्ड देन अब पर्सनालिटीहरूमा त्यही अब कमेन्टिङहरू गर्ने सो त्यस्तो कुराहरूले चाहिँ अब इन्टरपर्सनल कन्फ्लिक्टहरू आउन सक्छ एउटा वर्किङ इन्भाइरोमेन्टमा एन्ड देन नेक्स्ट वी हेभ इन्ट्रा-ग्रुप कन्फ्लिक्ट Intergroup conflict is 2 or more members of same team fighting each other. An example of intergroup conflict will be member of marketing group debating about the best way to launch a new product. So त्यही नै हो यो चाहिँ कस्तो भयो भन्दाखेरि it is a type of a conflict between 2 or more members fighting between each other to take the position to have a lead हैन कस्तो भन्दाखेरि अब दुईजना बिच कन्फ्लिक्ट भएर आउने दुईजना वा ग्रुपमा सो डिबेट चाहिँ के कुरामा भन्दाखेरि अब आफूलाई जस्ट आफूलाई लिड गरेर अगाडि बढ्न मन लाग्ने, सो दुईजना बिच अन्डरस्ट्यान्डिङ नहुने, सो त्यो केसमा चाहिँ इन्टर ग्रुप कन्फ्लिक्ट एराइज हुन्छ होइन. एन्ड देन नेक्स्ट वी हेभ इन्टर ग्रुप कन्फ्लिक्ट. Intergroup conflict is when conflict between groups inside and outside of an organization disagrees on various issues. So, त्यही नै हो, अर्गनाइजेसन भित्र र बाहिरको मान्छे बिच अब अन्डरस्ट्यान्डिङ नहुँदाखेरि इन्टरग्रुप कन्फ्लिक्ट एराइज हुन्छ, इन्टरग्रुप कन्फ्लिक्ट सरी. And conflict can also arise between two groups within the same organization, and that also will be considered intergroup conflict. So it can also arise between the groups within a same organization. So these are the types of conflict. And then next we have how to manage a conflict in an organization. So there are various ways we can manage conflicts in an organization. I have listed few of them. So first one, we have talk with other person. So we can talk with other person personally and take their views and ideas and listen their words, what they have to say on the topic, and focus on behavior and events, not on personalities. So we have to focus on people's behavior, how they work, what are their event methods, rather than their personalities. And we have to listen carefully. So before judging the people or before making the decision, we have to listen carefully what others people have to say, and then identify points of agreement and disagreement. We have to identify points of the things that comes under agreement and the things that we don't disagree. We have to prioritize the areas of conflict. So on the basis of priority, we have to solve the conflict according to the areas, and then develop a plan to work on each conflict. So in an organization, multiple conflicts can occur in day-to-day working environment. So we have to, so if we go on a planned approach to solve these conflicts, then it will be mm, more professional in an organization. So we have to develop a plan to work on each conflict and follow through on your plan. After we make a plan to work on each conflict, and if we follow through that plan, then it will be mm, more effective if we go on that plan and build on your success is the last one. So the focus we have, so the focus we will be making in an organization to reach on success, we have to build on our own, and we have to take a lead. So this was all about conflict and its types. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So conflict, when you are in an organization, there are many individuals, and within organization there are many groups. I know groups in the form of task force, sometimes it's unit or department. So within organization there are different individuals and different groups. So there is a high possibility that there are disagreements or clashes among these people and between the groups. So this is a very, very pertinent, or this is a very usual thing that we see whenever there is a group, whenever you are in a group or whenever you are in an organization, then conflict is inevitable. But one thing is conflict भनेको चाहिँ कस्तो हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि, I'm just giving you what conflict is. Disagreement, and it has got many disadvantages. Whenever there is conflict in an organization, then the effectiveness of organization is affected, but what happens is now the interactionists अहिलेको म्यानेजमेन्टमा चाहिँ के हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि, conflict is also good. If you do not have conflict in organization, then the organization is at standstill. It is at a status quo, and there is no advancement, no advancement ko kura नै आउँदैन when there is no conflict. So conflict is very important भन्ने पनि हुन्छ. So there has to be certain level of conflict in the organization which brings about progress and which brings about innovativeness in the organization भन्ने theoristहरु पनि छ. So conflict, we always have conflict लाई चाहिँ जहिले पनि हामीले negative connotation भएको aspect बाट मात्र हेर्छौं हैन. But when we are talking about conflict in an organization, certain level of conflict भनेको कस्तो हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि कुनै अलिकति conflict भयो भने maybe very very useful or maybe an advantage to the organization. But when the conflict worsens and gets bigger, then the effectiveness is again affected negatively. हैन. अलिकति थोरै केही conflict भयो भने चाहिँ त्यसले चाहिँ नि effectiveness मा positive effect पनि ल्याउन सक्छ भने if it is at a very very dangerous level, then the it can bring disaster to the organization पनि. Having said that, so conflict is disagreement अब यो intrapersonal भनेको, if you have as Pukar share with us that if something does not match with you within the organization सँग मेरो चाहिने values match भएन, goal match भएन भने पनि I always have some certain sort of conflicts within myself हैन. अब यो organization मा काम गर्ने कि नगर्ने, यस्तो यो यसरी भइरा छ, यसको goal यस्तो छ, and there is a mismatch between what your actual interest is, what your actual values is, and the values of the organization पनि differ हुन सक्छ भने there is intrapersonal conflict हरु हुन्छ. But when we are talking about organizational conflict, it's more about the conflict between people, between groups हैन. So अब त्यो conflict चाहिँ intrapersonal हुन सक्छ. So it's based on many things, the behavior, the attitude, the personality of the people को कारणले गर्दाखेरि if you have had the experience of working in an organization, there are different personalities you will see in the organization हैन. There are people like कोहीको personality यस्तो हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि you actually do not enjoy somebody's presence के कहिलेकाहीँ त हैन. त्यो मान्छे त्यहाँ नभइदिए नि हुन्छ भन्ने खालको समेत हुन्छ क्या हैन. So that is the personality को कारणले गर्दाखेरि नै त्यो दुईटा बीचको चाहिँ नि conflict हरु भइराको हुन्छ भने there are many other task related reasons because of which there are conflicts in the organization. अनि त्यो conflict अघि भनेको जस्तै अहिले चाहिँ interactionistहरुले चाहिँ के गर्छ भने in the organization if there is no conflict in the organization, अहिलेको modern managers हरु modern approach to management is they actually stimulate conflict क्या. अब त यहाँ conflict भएन भने it's the status quo, there is no advancement, there is no that vibrance छैन organization मा. It's very standstill, very त्यो भयो भने चाहिँ नि त्यो progress हुँदैन भन्ने किसिमको त्यो हुने हुँदाखेरि अहिलेको new approach of management is to spark conflict in the organization. Conflict ल्याइदिन्छ अहिले, there is conflict intentionally पनि ल्याउँछ in the organization so that whenever there is no conflict, then there is no issues, no conflicts भयो भने things don't come on the surface के, त्यो माथि नै आउँदैन त्यो त्यहाँ के भइराको छ भन्ने कुरा हैन. But when there is conflict, there are a number of things that will just surface up and you will identify, okay, these are the things, these are the issues in the organizations, and that's the issue that we have to address, and that makes organization a better organization, and effectiveness actually improves. त्यो कारणले गर्दाखेरि पनि a small amount, a little bit of conflict is good भनेर चाहिँ त्यो conflict के पनि भएन भने conflict ल्याइदिन्छ क्या त्यहाँ conflict हुने काम गरिदिन्छ तर conflict beyond certain level is dangerous नै हो त्यो चाहिँ हैन because people are fighting पहिला कस्तो हुन्छ भने यसको चाहिँ नि एउटा conflict को steps haru kasto huncha bhandakiri sometimes you have very very latent kind of conflict with the people ke paila chai ni you don't say anything there is a conflict inside you and you hate that people I mean you hate certain group or certain persons in the organization and when you actually त्यो सुरुमा चाहिँ के पनि हुँदैन त्यो latent stage मा हुन्छ त्यो conflict चाहिँ हैन but you don't like there is certain disagreement with that person अनि त्यो पछि गएर चाहिँ then there will be a discussion with that person or with that group then that discussion will even worse भएर चाहिँ नि there is abuses haru हुन थाल्छ त्यसपछि हैन गालीको त्यसमा आउँछ then sometimes even we can hear about fights the physical fights between the people in the organization सम्म जान सक्छ के त्यो conflict भनेको so you have to be very very careful about managing the conflict in the organization so what I'm trying to say here is managing the conflict भनेको चाहिँ now it's not only limited to reducing the conflict है यो कुरा चाहिँ नि एउटा के consider गर्नु पर्यो भने managing conflict is not only about reducing the conflict but sometimes it is also about stimulating conflict कहिले काहीँ stimulate पनि गर्नुपर्ने हुन्छ but most of the time if it is a conflict at that level which actually is impacting or affecting the effectiveness of the organization then you have to reduce that conflict हैन त्यो conflict reduce गर्नलाई चाहिँ नि as Pukar said there are a number of things that you have to do to reduce the conflict the very first thing is say confrontation नै हो हैन so confrontation means you come together bring up the issue and try to solve the issue if you do not speak if you do not confront then just the spark will just become fire later I know so listening carefully to the people not intervening others works अब हाम्रो कहिलेकाहीँ organizationsहरुमा कस्तो I'm just sharing my experience of conflict हैन कहिलेकाहीँ चाहिँ कस्तो हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि there are certain people in the organizations because your personalities differ के अब एउटा भनौं न एउटा मिटिङमै कस्तो हुन्छ भने there are certain personalities who are very very over talking के हैन if अरुको कुरा पनि गर्दिने हैन if it is my department and there is त्यो person चाहिँ नि belongs to another department भयो भने पनि if there is certain issue about somebody else's department then he speaks up त्यस्तो हुँदाखेरि पनि त्यो पर्सनालिटीको कारणले गर्दाखेरि पनि त्यहाँनिर चाहिँ नि कन्फ्लिक्ट्सहरु आइराको हुन्छ भने त्यस्तो कन्फ्लिक्टहरु गर्दाखेरि then you have to sit together के हैन if you do not agree with the behavior or the way that he actually intervenes भन्यो भने confrontation is अनि confrontation मा आउनु पर्छ तिनीहरु दुई जना you have to sit together and say that okay if it is my turn or if it is my issue let me speak भन्ने कुराहरु यसरी जब you sit together confrontation हुन्छ lot of quite many times the issues are solved conflicts are solved हैन अनि कहिले चाहिँ कस्तो हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि as you said you have to listen very carefully can you put that slide so that Pukar can you put that slide of reducing त्यो conflict reduce गर्ने list छ नि can you just share with us again so that
yes, sir.
Okay So managing यो चाहिँ reducing conflict हो यो चाहिँ हैन managing conflicts मा मैले एउटा कुरा अघि एड गरेको यसमा चाहिँ नि managing conflict भनेको कहिलेकाहीँ conflict ल्याउनु पनि हो कहिलेकाहीँ you intentionally stimulate conflict पनि हो यसमा चाहिँ एउटा एड गर्नुपर्ने but all these are reducing conflict अरु चाहिँ हैन and most of the time managing conflict भनेको reduce नै गर्ने हो conflict when it gets to a very dangerous level then you have to reduce so talking with the person is no in the confrontation right and most of the personalities मा चाहिँ नि if you go on personality is something that is that personalities of the people don't change okay quite often but the personality like liera is very you know overly you know हुन्छ नि कोही कोही अब एकदम लामो कुरा गरेर राख्नु पर्ने हुन्छ हैन the same thing you can say in 1 minute some people take 10 minutes to say that okay हैन it goes from very background and then you know just elaborates maybe he has repeated those things many times but usko personality नै त्यही हो भने चाहिँ most of the time what we have to do is we have to just avoid those things avoidance पनि एउटा strategy हो के conflict manage गर्ने चाहिँ sometimes you have to avoid something you have to ignore something then the level of conflict will come down okay but if it is the task related things मा नै organization मा बढी चाहिँ नि focus गर्न पर्ने हुन्छ listen carefully listening carefully is very important sometimes you know you don't listen to what the other person is saying and you are आफ्नै कुरा भन्नलाई चाहिँ त्यहाँ अरूको कुरै नसुनिरा हुन्छ के नो like you know in that way you know there is more त्यहाँनिर एकदम डिसएग्रीमेन्ट आउने कुरा एउटा इज दिस लिसनिङ अरूको कुरा नसुन्ने हुन्छ के अरूको कुरा नसुन्ने आफ्नो भन्ने you know just trying to say your share your opinion try to express yourself not listening to others भन्यो भने पनि that also brings up conflict in the organization so listen carefully that reduces conflicts identify points of agreement and disagreement okay so another way is so first identify points of agreement and disagreement means if there is certain things identify the problems in there what is the reason for that conflict and if there are a number of reasons in the in that conflict arousal ko ma chai ni if there are a number of reasons prioritize त्यो लाई चाहिँ नि and then deal with this is a very strategic way of how कसरी गर्ने भन्ने चाहिँ नि prioritize गर areas of conflict then make a plan or you know you design a you make a plan how you are going to resolve this conflict make a plan follow that plan and then resolve the conflict so this is about you know actually it's about confrontation and knowing the reasons of conflict and if there are reasons then prioritize them make a plan how you are going to handle those conflicting things and then make a plan implement that and get the you know conflict resolved right so that is how you know you manage conflict भन्ने यहाँ पुकारले शेयर गर्यो so Anis So it's Anis who has to present, eh?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what is it about? I forgot. What was your assignment?
Mechanistic view versus organic view of
Okay, there are
organizations.
two structures. So this is related to organizing. There are two kinds of structures in the perspective of being it mechanistic and being it uh, organic. होइन हामीले
Yes, sir.
अर्गनाइजेसनको स्ट्रक्चरमा चाहिँ हामीले टल स्ट्रक्चर फ्ल्याट स्ट्रक्चर functional horizontal vertical differentiation we talked about tall structure and flat structure. In horizontal differentiation we talked about functional multidivisional geographic and matrix ko kura garyौं. And we can also look at this organization structure in the perspective of being it organic and being mechanistic. So let's see how these two types of structures, mechanistic and organic structures, are different. Let's see from Anish. Just wait, eh? Anish, okay. Here you go.
So can you see my screen? I think.
Yeah.
Now, slide. Can you see my slide? Okay, let's first discuss about what is organization structure. Organization structure is a type of framework that company uses to distinguish power and authority, roles and responsibilities, and flow of information through an organization. And if you want to see the view of organization, we can see those view in this terms, in these three terms: power, authority, roles and responsibilities, and flow of information through the organization. First, let's discuss about mechanistic view of organization. Mechanistic organization structure is the most common business organization and is typically used in manufacturing environment. And this mechanistic organization has hierarchical and bureaucratic process, and it is generally characterized by its highly centralized authority, formalized process and practices, and specialized functions. In mechanistic view of organization, power and authority is centralized with the power and authority is centralized at the topmost level. Persons at the top positions has power and authority over the organization, and they have the mechanistic structure follows a bureaucratic and hierarchical format of the organization structure, and instructions in those organizations are provided by the immediate supervisors. Employee do not have any authority over their work, and the people working in the organization have to follow the decisions and those directions from the supervisors. In mechanistic view of organization, the work is generally separated into specialized tasks, and every employee has roles and responsibilities that are clearly defined within the organization, and they cannot perform other roles because they are not encouraged to do so, or they are not qualified or equipped to handle those roles in the organization. And in the mechanistic organization, employees work separately to complete a task. Each employee has different roles and they cannot do the roles of others or they are not encouraged. And so there is no feeling of ownership in mechanistic organization structure. And in the mechanistic organization, flow of information through the organization. In this type of organization, only the top CEO are followed by executive supervisors, managers, and support personnel. And though in and the information flows in vertical and horizontal. And in case of vertical, the information are flowed from CEO to executive supervisors, managers, support personnel, and the employees, general employees who are working in the company. And and in case of decision makings, only the higher management are involved, and people at the top level, they do not invite or encourage other employees to take part in discussions or decision making process. So this is the mechanistic view of organization. And let's say about organic view of organization. An organic organizational structure is a flat organization that allows for horizontal communication and interactions and is more suited to creative business. Organic organization is characterized by these three terms: flatness, in which communications and interactions are horizontal more than the mechanistic. In case of mechanistic organization, there is communication and interactions in vertical, and there is low specialization where knowledge resides whether it is most useful. And decentralization, great deal of formal and informal participation in decision making. In organic view of organization, power and authority चाहिँ कस्तो हुन्छ भने decentralized हुन्छ, with power and authority is distributed evenly among the member. जुनै लेभलमा पनि power and authority चाहिँ अलिकति डिस्ट्रिब्युटेड भएको हुन्छ अनि कुनै डिसिजनहरु बनाउँदाखेरि पनि इन अर्ग्यानिक अर्गनाइजेसन सेभरल डिपार्टमेन्टको मान्छेहरुले इक्वली उनीहरुले आफ्नो भ्यू वा आफ्नो डिसिजन्सहरु आफ्नो भ्यूहरु राख्नु पाउँछ. And their team members have full authority control over the project, and every employee is involved in the decision making process. And senior members invite and encourage everyone to share their input and take part in the decision making process. Mechanical organizationमा चाहिँ कस्तो हुन्थ्यो भने only the senior members ले मात्र डिसिजन लिन्थ्यो. त्यसपछि मुनिको सबअर्डिनेट्सहरु देखि लिएर सुपरभाइजर्स म्यानेजर्सहरुले चाहिँ माथि बोर्ड मेम्बर्सको डिसिजन मान्नु पर्थ्यो भने चाहिँ यहाँ चाहिँ अर्ग्यानिक अर्गनाइजेसनमा चाहिँ कस्तो हुन्छ भने सिनियर मेम्बरले डिसिजन एन्ड के अरे डिसिजनहरु लिन्छ, बट अल्सो दे अल्सो इन्भाइट एन्ड इन्करेज हु आर वर्किङ इन द कम्पनी टु टेक पार्ट इन डिसिजन मेकिङ प्रोसेस. And in organic view of organization, let's say about roles and responsibilities. Employees are handy at several jobs and they do not have a specific role to play in an organic organization. A network of multi-talented individuals perform several tasks when needed. And organic organization is all about teamwork, as the organization encourages group leadership. Employees of an organic organization are involved in the problem-solving process and feeling of ownership towards the company in an organic organization. Organic view of organic organizationमा चाहिँ कस्तो हुन्छ भने इम्प्लोइजले चाहिँ सेभरल जब पनि गर्ने क्यापेसिटी होल्ड गरेको हुन्छ अनि म्यानेजमेन्टले पनि त्यहाँको इम्प्लोइहरुलाई चाहिँ एउटा कुनै स्पेसिफिक रोल वा स्पेसिफिक पोजिसनमा मात्र हालेको हुँदैन कि जब त्यहाँ कुनै अरु रोलहरु पनि त्यहाँ गर्नुपर्ने हुन्छ आफ्नो प्ले गर्नुपर्ने हुन्छ र तिनीहरुलाई इम्प्लोइहरुलाई इन्करेज गर्छ त्यस्तो हो and then organic organization मा चाहिँ एउटा they do have about teamwork as the organization encourages group leadership and group त्यस्तो भयो भने चाहिँ नि अर्गनाइजेसनमा एउटा सबैले आफ्नो इक्वली आफ्नो इन्भल्भमेन्ट भयो भने चाहिँ अब इम्प्लोइहरुलाई पनि दे फील अफ ओनरशिप टुवर्ड्स द कम्पनी इन एन अर्गनाइजेसन and in the organic organization let's see the flow of information organic organization मा चाहिँ कस्तो हुन्छ भने there is horizontal flow of information which is shared among all the members and senior members invite and encourage everyone to share their input and take part in the decision making process. So the flow of information in organic organization say everyone in hierarchy has shared their information about the company or they do take part in the decision making process. So that's it, sir.
Okay, thank you, Anish. So that was the organization structure in the form of mechanistic structure and organic structure. So in mechanistic structure, as the name itself suggests, it's a very mechanical kind of organization structure that you see. Okay, there are different units, there are different groups, and there is very little information flow between the units and departments. So there is only the communication or information flow within the hierarchy from top to bottom and bottom to top. Okay, and it is and they are very specialized in their jobs. So this is what you have to do. So that is done by a person and that is his job. So there is not much flexibility in how they perform their job. So you are specifically given how you perform that work. It's a very mechanistic, like a machine. Okay, so certain parts of the machines, the parts of the machines, they do their own task only. Similarly, you are placed in different positions in the organization and you do that task. So there is not much of marketing finance department या अरु कुनै department छ भने त्यो horizontal units हरुमा there is not much communication. There is no information flow between those things, and you cannot take the decisions. You are not much empowered. You only carry out the jobs. Top level management is does the decision making, and you follow those decisions. So very machine kind of a structure that we see, and there are more rules, formal rules and regulations which you have to follow. Okay, there might be the fixed working hour. You have to be in the office at 10 o'clock. You cannot leave the office at you cannot leave office before 5. You have to wear this kind of a dress. It's very mechanistic kind of. This is the time period within which you have to complete the job. So there are formal standard operating procedures and rules and regulations within which you have to work. So it's a kind of a machine that you have to work in the environment. China, organic structure is just the opposite of that. You keep everything fluid. Okay, so you अब अघि अनिशले भनेको जस्तै त्यो mechanistic structure is it works only in manufacturing organization मा. Manufacturing organization मा त्यो पनि production line भएको हुन्छ नि. Certain station ले त्यो काम गर्छ, अर्को station ले अर्को काम गर्छ, अर्को station ले अर्को काम गर्छ. त्यो production line मा चाहिँ it's very it works, हैन? But in the software companies, for example, where there is more creativity required and you do not have this flexibility, if you do not have the opportunity to innovate, if you do not have to have the opportunity to try new things, new ways of doing things, त्यो भयो भने यस्तो अर्गनाइजेसनमा काम गर्दैन. सो अर्ग्यानिक स्ट्रक्चर्स, the organization structure has to be designed in the organic way. If it is, the creativity kind of a it's more innovation related organizations, जस्तै software development भयो हैन, computer applications हरु बनाउने यस्तो कम्पनीहरुमा चाहिँ there is inter group communications भइरा हुन्छ. You can just talk with anybody in the organization. It's very informal kind of working environment that you will see in organic. Information flows will take from anywhere to anywhere. I know. So that kind of structure where there is not much rules and regulations, you have very flexible working hours. You don't have to come to office at organic. You have to get the job done. That's it. Whether you do it at night or come to office at 12. So it's a very fluid, it's a liquid kind of a organization where
this class will end in 10 minutes.
Okay, where there is this interactions of everybody. It's like working in one group ma काम गरेको जस्तै काम गरिन्छ भने that is organic structure, briefly speaking. And rest of the things, how authority is, where does the authority lie, how does the information flow take place भन्ने कुरा चाहिँ it's all explained by Anish bhaihaल्यो. I'm just trying to summarize the things that mechanistic is very, very standard operating procedures, rules, regulations, not much authority given downwards, all decisions taken by the top, and it's very rigidly structured. That is mechanistic. On the other hand, it's a very flexible kind of organization structure where there is all way information flow taking place. Testo kind of organization structure where there is flexibility, empowerment, authority, and opportunity to try new things, innovate new things, practice new approaches. That is organistic or organic kind of organization structure. Hey? So about saying, whoever is present, is there anybody who has not done the presentation yet?
Sir,
People has not done. Okay. So for you, because these are the assignments that I'm giving to you, and if marks it will be based on the presentations, which actually is your assignment ko score name your presentation ko pathaunu parne huncha. That's why if anybody has not done presentation as of yet, let me know so that I can assign you the presentation, and you just do 5-10 minutes presentation, and then that will be your assignment marks. Right? So above Bipul lai chaini what you will do is let's talk about group. Group formation. It is there in your syllabus. Syllabus ma bhayeko chai ni ke just note them down. Groups in organization ko concept. So within organization you have many groups, haina? त्यो त्यसको concept, types of groups, note it down. Concept of group formation, types of groups, characteristics of group.
Types and characteristics.
Yeah, group ko characteristics. Right? Concept, types, and characteristics of group.
Okay, sir.
So you will do that in the next class. About this, we have how much? Okay, still have 7 minutes left.
Sir, मेरो पनि भएको छैन.
कसको?
जयराम राउत.
जयराम.
Sir, मेरो पनि बाँकी थियो.
ल म यो मोटिभेसनको अलिकति त्यो गर्छु अनि देन I'll give you assignment from motivation कै सेक्सनबाट दिन्छु है त अहिले just let me tell you that what motivation is. अब motivation भनेको चाहिँ it's very important aspect of leadership. So you can influence the people. अब leading भनेको चाहिँ नि it's influencing the people to work in a way you want them to work. That is the leadership. मैले जसरी मान्छेलाई काम गर्न चाहेको हो त्यो तिनीहरूलाई काम गर्न लगाउनु नै leadership हो. त्यसरी काम गराउनु हैन. So the way I want my people to work, if I am able to do that, then I am a good leader. So you cannot be a good leader without motivating the people. So motivation is something that comes from your within. Okay. So in an organization, if you do not have motivation, you do not have the willingness to work in the organization. So that willingness has to come from your within. जबसम्म त्यो आफ्नो भित्रबाट काम गर्ने त्यो आउँदैन, then the organization मा there is no effectiveness from the side of the workers in the organization, and then the organization goal is not achieved. So you have to arouse those things in the people that you supervise. If you are a manager and you are supervising people underneath you, then you as a manager have to bring up that motivation in the people to work. त्यो motivation ल्याउनु चाहिँ नि motivation ल्याउनु is one of the jobs that the leaders have to do in the organization है. अब so groups को चाहिँ नि विपुलले गर्छ भने motivation theories, there are two theories which you have to do in this. One is Maslow's hierarchy of needs भन्ने छ. Okay, I'm giving you a very small दुईटालाई दुईटा theory दिन्छु म. So in Jayaram will do Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Motivation theory को चाहिँ नि एउटा theory छ which is called Maslow's hierarchy of needs, will be done by Jayaram. Who is the other one?
Okay.
Sir, म गौरव केसी.
Gaurav. Gaurav, you will do this Herzberg's two-factor theory.
Can you repeat?
Herzberg's भन्ने theories छ, त्यसको two-factor. Maslow's hierarchy मा चाहिँ नि there are 5 needs हरू हुन्छ. On the basis of that people are motivated भन्ने theory हो भने Herzberg भन्नेले दिएको theory which is two-factor theory. One is hygiene factor and the motivators भन्ने. Herzberg's two-factor theory.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so this अब अर्को क्लास चाहिँ हामी यसैबाट स्टार्ट हुन्छ. You have to be in the class in the next class with these presentations because these are the very
This class will end in 3 minutes.
theories that we have to first understand about motivation, and then only we'll talk about other things later. So you have to be presenting this in the very beginning of next class, eh? Okay, all three. So your 3 presentations, I make sure that you don't miss the next class because यो भएन भने हामी अगाडि फेरि यो पछि नै अगाडि बढ्नु पर्ने हुन्छ. All right.
Okay, sir.
Okay, thank you for today. I end the class now. See you day after tomorrow on Thursday. Okay. Okay, thank you very much, all of you.
Thank you, sir.